G'day everybody, Neil Keller back again, and this is episode 4 of the Amazing Chase video series. And in this episode I just want to cover the culprits, the people who set me up in Australia, the police involved, and then all of the agencies that covered it up over the last 5 years now, 5 years this month. Okay, and quick recap as per usual with these videos. Every video starts with this. The guy that set me up, okay, this guy here, Undy, former friend of mine, okay, he became a police informant and strapped on this recording ankle bracelet, which was a recording device to record conversations for the police. It was to replace that one, which was the traditional original GPS bail anklet he was wearing, okay, and so it was all about protecting his identity as an informant, but also protecting the technology that was inside that bracelet. Okay, so back in 2019, this is when this all started. Now, it was May 2019 when they tried to entrap me, but it actually started back in March 2019. And that was with Bebe Mellick, who was Undy's lawyer, but also my lawyer on a couple of occasions, represented me for a couple of things. Bebe Mellick was working with Kev Goan from Cairns Major Organised Crime Squad. And they all together, Undy, Bebe Mellick, Kev Goan, and some others, conspired to frame me. All right. Now, the first thing that happened was Bebe Mellick represented me on a court case of public nuisance. For something, Christmas 2019, I think it was. Sorry, Christmas 2018. I got into a bit of trouble in the nightclub, had a bit of biffo, had to go to court for public nuisance. Okay. Now, when we left court that day, Bebe Mellick just casually said to me, "Oh, what are you going to do next?" And I replied to him. I said, "I'm going back to Sydney," because I'd been in Sydney, a few months prior to Christmas 2018. Christmas 2018. Yeah, I'd been in Sydney. So I said to him, "I'm going back to Sydney." All right. However, I wasn't going back to Sydney at all. It's just I didn't trust Bebe because he'd fed me a load of rubbish about why they hadn't charged me with assault. I was only charged with public nuisance. Well, I should have been charged with assault for punching a bouncer. And Bebe was trying to tell me I was lucky not to be charged with assault. And I thought, yeah, not lucky, mate. Like, police don't do me any favours. So I was always suspicious of that. And so when we left court and he asked me that question, I thought, what are you asking me that for, mate? So I fed him a line, told him I was going to Sydney when I knew I wasn't going to Sydney. I was staying in Queensland, in Cairns. Okay, so what's the relevance of that? Right, well, the relevance is, literally 1 week after I told Bebe that I was going to go back to Sydney, I got an email from Sydney Police telling me or asking me to come and collect some documents from them, which was related to another bit of biffo in an accommodation I was staying in Sydney. And someone stole my phone one night, and we had an altercation as a result of that theft. And then Sydney Police obviously wanted to, investigate and charge me possibly with, assault. And I'd heard nothing from Sydney Police for 6 months, 6 months, nothing. And then all of a sudden, 1 week after I tell Bebe Mellick I'm going back to Sydney, I get an email from Sydney Police. So basically, Bebe Mellick has passed that information on to Kev Goan, Cairns Major Organised Crime Squad. He's passed it on to Sydney. And then they thought I was going to be in Sydney, so they've sent me the email asking me to come and collect these documents, which would have been charges, when I wasn't in Sydney at all. Okay, so that was the very first thing that happened that obviously really got me suspicious. And so bottom line is Bebe Mellick was conspiring with Kev Goan and Undy to set me up. Okay, I reckon they wanted to keep tabs on me in Sydney if I was in Sydney, which is why they'd asked me to go collect those documents. And also probably wanted to charge me with the assault from back in that altercation over the stolen phone. Okay, so that was the very first thing. And also, let me just add to that I know that what I've just said for a fact, because when I made it known that I suspected Bebe having passed that information on, the police hacked my Gmails and deleted the email from Sydney Police to me and my reply to Sydney Police telling them I wasn't in Sydney. All right, so that's how come I know this is true. All right, I can't prove that, obviously, because they wiped my entire Gmail account and I don't have those emails anymore. But there was no email in there to show you because the police had hacked my Gmail and deleted the incoming email to me from Sydney Police and my reply that I sent back to them. All right, I do have a little bit of proof about it because there's a few days of emails missing, and I've got a screenshot of that. So moving on, we've got Bebe Mellick as being involved. Obviously, Cairns Major Organised Crime Squad under the command of, I think he's acting Inspector Kev Goan now, was Senior Sergeant back then. And also, I mean, I forgot to mention, I've mentioned in a previous video that this entire operation was a combination of Cairns Major Organised Crime Squad in conjunction with Melbourne Organised Crime Squad, because the targets of the entire operation were based in Melbourne, and Queensland Crime and Corruption Commission were involved in Queensland as well. And that's before it went overseas, and you've got Interpol and all of the other police that were brought into it. So we'll fast forward now to the original entrapment attempt in May 2019. That was on the 24th of May 2019 in Palm Cove, Queensland. A couple of weeks before that is when they swapped out Undy's bracelets. So they took off the small grey GPS bell anklet, and then they put on the great big thick recording device. All right, so that was a couple of weeks before the entrapment attempt. I mean, we even said when he came into the gym wearing that, it looks like a recording device. There was a few of us. And he's like, oh, no. Anyway, obviously it was. And so shortly after he got that swapped out, he took me to breakfast, and that's when he recorded our conversation. And then that's when the police, figured, Neil knows enough about what Lee was doing and who was involved, that he can help us, get to the major suppliers in Melbourne. So that's why they set me up. They needed to entrap me because I wasn't involved in any of the drug trafficking, so there was no way I was going to talk to them about anything. So they needed to entrap me. All right. So the two people involved in that entrapment, other than obviously Lee Undy and Cairns Major Organised Crime Squad, were my then girlfriend Lynda Hopkins. All right, and the girl who supplied me with the drugs. But then they were going to try and say I was selling them to her, and her name was Alexandra Kate. She's just a girl I'd met online way before, and she worked in town in Cairns as an escort. I'd known her for quite a while, and I just used to buy some gear off her occasionally, and they knew that clearly, and so that's why they got her to work against me. So Alexandra Kate and my girlfriend Lynda Hopkins were both involved in that entrapment attempt. Alex supplied me with the drugs. And Lynda was working, for the police, in a sort of informant capacity, but there wasn't much that she could tell them about me. So, she was just, forced to help them, basically. I'm not sure what happened there. I think they might have caught her, drug driving, maybe, one day on the way back from Cairns, because we used to party in Cairns. Sometimes Lynda and I reckon they might have caught her drug driving, and that's why they got her to work against me. Her capacity was she basically dropped me off at the entrapment premises, knowing they were coming to entrap me. Funny. So she dropped me off there that evening before they came to try and set me up. And she made excuses why she couldn't stay and why she couldn't visit me at that apartment. So clearly because the police didn't want her there, and because she was helping the police to get to me. All right. Anyway, the morning of the entrapment, I was I knew what was happening. I was speaking to Lynda on text messages at the time as it was happening, and I was telling her that they were gassing me and they were trying to frame me, and she was telling me I was paranoid and imagining it. Right, because obviously she knew they were there to get me. Anyway, so Alexandra Kate was the one that was forced to supply me with the drugs, and then was going to stay. I was selling them to her, and Lynda was the one that drove me there, dropped me off, knew that they were coming to catch me, and obviously wasn't allowed to warn me in any way, shape, or form. And then later on, when I knew this about Lynda for a while, but I left it a while before I confronted her. And when I did finally tell her that I knew about the cops, she just, obviously blocked me on Facebook, and that was the last I've ever heard of her. She blocked me and then told my mum I was toxic. So there you go. So Alexandra Kate, Lynda Hopkins, Lee Undy, Bebe Mellick, Cairns Major Organised Crime Squad, Melbourne Organised Crime Squad, Queensland Crime and Corruption Commission, they were all involved. All right, and that is the pre-story before it went overseas to the rest of the operation. All right. Now, of course, when it went overseas, we're talking Interpol, obviously. Melbourne Organised Crime Squad actually followed me to Thailand and were on the ground in Thailand because I saw them. Caucasian male is what I saw in room 20 after I went back to that resort, and I saw them follow me around in a black SUV on 2 different occasions. Okay, so that was them, and then basically when it moved to different countries, it was always Interpol, but it's not like the movies where you've got guys running around on the ground wearing Interpol jackets. It doesn't work that way. Interpol just coordinate everything, and the police on the ground are actually police from within the country that you're visiting. So every different country I went to, it was agents on the ground from the police in those countries that were working with Interpol to get to me. I forgot to add that when Lynda dropped me off at the apartment prior to the entrapment, so the night before the entrapment attempt, she dropped me off and she's given me this big hug, and then she's looked at me with these really sad eyes, and as if someone was about to tell you that someone you knew had passed away or something. Like, she looked really sad. And when I questioned her on that later on, she goes, "Oh, I was just sad about us because we're having a hard time, because we were having a tough time in our relationship." But obviously the reason for those sad eyes is because she knew damn well the police were coming to grab me the next morning, so that's why she had the sad eyes, all right? Right, so different police in different countries, all being coordinated by Interpol, all right? And I mean, like I said, they chased me through 13 countries in total, over 4.5 years. I mean, they're not chasing me now. I'm at home in England. So 4.5 years, non-stop through 13 countries. 6 times I was in the UK and Thailand. So there's 6 attempts that within just those 2 countries where they tried to get to me. All right, so 13 countries, 2 countries 6 times. All right, so it's chased me everywhere over the last 5 years. It's now 5 years. This month it's 5 years. And I should just mention that in the UK, which is where I am now, it is specifically the National Crime Agency that are the ones responsible for everything that's been done to me. It's not Interpol as such, because Interpol are the National Crime Agency in the UK. For example, Interpol operates out of the same building as the National Crime Agency, and any operations conducted against someone like me, a British citizen, on British soil will be undertaken by the National Crime Agency, not operatives that work for Interpol. You know what I mean? So basically everything that's happened to me in the UK has been at the hands of the National Crime Agency, and on a couple of occasions they have used the local police to assist them, but the local police have not done anything wrong to me. All they've done is assist the National Crime Agency in certain capacities, such as surveillance and also cover up. All right, so there you go. That's all of the cops that have been involved in all of the countries. Right, I think that's enough for today's video. As per usual, it's dragged on. It just takes a lot of time to get through this stuff. I was going to cover the cover-up, but I'll do that in a separate video, I think. So all of the agencies responsible for covering it up, and including the governments. So yeah, I'll leave that for the next video. All right, so that's the end of today's video. If you've watched, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks, folks. See ya.